Now on Sunrise and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, early voting in Victoria is breaking records. We'll tell you how many people have cast their votes so far. And more meetings take place in Bloomington as residents discuss a potential overpass and meet local candidates. Plus, one death is linked to McDonald's as E. coli is found in a menu item. The details just ahead.
And we're tracking a little bit of patchy, dense fog in the Crossroads this morning. We'll take a look at that. But for us, we've got still plenty more summer-like weather to come in the middle of October. And we've got some stuff cooking in the tropics. All that in the weather coming up.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and thank you for joining us on this very foggy Wednesday morning.
Very foggy Wednesday, yes. We got a little bit of fog to deal with out there. We're going to take a look at that here in just a second, but it's Wednesday.
That's right.
We're halfway
Wednesday.
through.
We're halfway through. It's our second to last Wednesday of the month.
That's right,
Parker.
it is.
But we're still going to wear pink on Wednesdays moving forward.
Still wearing pink on Wednesdays, of course, even before Halloween next week.
That's right. We have Halloween. I got all my little costume elements.
There you go.
So we're going to have a little party here at work. Parker, are you ready for Halloween?
I am ready for Halloween, but if y'all are ready for Halloween, it looks like we got a little kind of a precursor to Halloween kind of going on right now. Looks a little spooky out there with the fog right now. Looking live here in Victoria, it's about 63 degrees and your dew point just about matching that temperature, 63, being humidity at 100%. That's pretty much guaranteeing you're seeing fog out there. And looking at the visibility map, you could see some of us are seeing less than 1/8 mile in visibility. That is actually considered to be dangerous fog. So please be careful out of the roads this morning, especially in some of the little bit more lower elevated areas. That's going to see a little bit more dense fog. I do want to let y'all know, in the more city areas, like inside, like inner Victoria City, you're not going to see as much fog as the more rural, grassy areas where there's a little bit more water transpiration happening with the plants. So just make sure to be careful on the roads this morning. Fog should be clearing between 8 to 9 a.m. today as the sun comes up. But why we're experiencing fog this morning is because our winds are really calm to very, very light out of the southeast and out of the Gulf. And the Gulf wind is going to continue all week long, bringing us lots more warm lows and very warm highs for the middle of October. So if you're to send your kids out the door, pack them for a pretty nice humid morning and another warm day. We're going to have details on that coming up next. Carolina.
Thank you, Parker. Another big turnout in Victoria County for early voting on Tuesday. After a record day one, another 2,091 voters cast a ballot in person Tuesday, bringing the two-day total to 4,181. Another 1,634 ballots have been cast by mail. A total of 10% of Victoria County's registered voters have already taken part in the November 5th election. Senator Ted Cruz's campaign bus tour stopped in Victoria Tuesday to inspire Republican voters to get out to the polls. Cruz's Texas tour brought him close to home, visiting Lavaca Barbecue along with other prominent Republican officials and candidates. 25 News Now anchor Trenton Whiting has more.
Senator Ted Cruz has been hitting the road, campaigning in Texas for the upcoming November 5th election. Today, he was in Victoria, speaking about his platform on topics such as healthcare and immigration.
1.5 million illegal immigrants come into this country under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It is the worst in history. It is a full-on invasion. The Texas Senator.
Prominent local Republican and Texas House Representative candidate A.J. Louderback and Senator Lois Kolkhorst were also in attendance. Challenger Colin Allred has been on the campaign trail himself, visiting several Texas towns like El Paso and his hometown in Dallas. His message has focused on the differences between him and Cruz as he vies to move from the House to the Senate.
To me, for every Texan, you don't want a senator who abandons you when you need them most. If you don't want a senator who wants to take away Medicare and Social Security, if you don't want a senator who's only focused on himself, then I hope you can give me a chance as the alternative.
Senator Cruz is confident that he'll win a third straight term after serving 12 years for the Senate.
I think the election is close, but we're going to win. And we're going to win because my record is consistent with the values of the voters of Texas.
Trenton Whiting, KAVU TV, 25 News Now.
And it's not rock.
The Bloomington community learned more about an overpass plan for a busy intersection. TxDOT officials held a meeting with Bloomington residents Tuesday to discuss the planned construction of a 2-lane overpass on Highway 185 between 7th Street and King Road. This will allow traffic to bypass the railroad crossing. Access roads would be constructed on each side of the overpass to provide access to existing city streets and commercial and residential properties.
So we're doing the project first, of course, always is to improve the safety. The existing at-grade railroad crossing will be removed. And it's also to prevent delaying emergency service vehicles like ambulance, fire trucks, and police, and to improve mobility within the community.
TxDOT is accepting public comments on the project through November 6th. Construction would begin in early 2028, taking 2 years to complete. Bloomington residents also had a chance to meet some of the candidates that will be on the November ballot right in their hometown. Tiki Vangler, Bloomington resident and founder of Bloomington Stronger Together, hosted the event at Bloomington Elementary. Speakers included Texas House District 30 candidate Stephanie Basham, Victoria County Commissioner for Precinct 1 Danny Garcia, and Victoria County Commissioner Precinct 1 candidate Kenneth Wells, and a candidate for the U.S. District 27 congressional seat, Tanya Lloyd. Vangler says that hosting these forums helps Bloomington residents know the candidates.
Attention to our community, realizing that many of our community members don't go to Victoria and are not familiar with the candidates coming up on the voting ballot. So the invitation went out to those that could come down and meet our community and tell us what their plans are.
Vangler was encouraged with Tuesday's turnout and plans to have more forums in the future. And now we turn to a deadly E. coli outbreak that being linked to a certain item sold at a fast food chain.
This morning, an E. coli outbreak linked to McDonald's Quarter Pounders is blamed for 1 death, and the CDC says at least 49 people have been sickened, 10 hospitalized, including a child.
They think it could be the onions that go on the Quarter Pounders. Apparently, the Quarter Pounders are the only sandwiches that routinely take these particular onions.
The outbreak reported in 10 states. Most cases, 27, are in Colorado, where an elderly person died.
We've taken steps to proactively remove slivered onions, which are used in Quarter Pounders, from restaurants in select states. We also made the decision to temporarily remove the Quarter Pounder from restaurants in select states.
E. coli symptoms include fever, stomach cramps, diarrhea, and vomiting.
With a company the size of McDonald's, it's really disappointing that something like this could have been going on for apparently a few weeks before the public was alerted to it.
The outbreak comes with several other food recalls in the headlines. Concerns about listeria contamination prompted a recall from Bruce Pack, which now includes nearly 12 million pounds of ready-to-eat meat products distributed to restaurants and schools and sold under various brands at stores including Walmart, Target, Trader Joe's, and Amazon Fresh. Frozen waffles sold at several chains have also been recalled due to possible listeria, and 10 deaths are blamed on a listeria outbreak linked to Boar's Head deli meats this year. Experts say while regulations are in place, it's crucial consumers stay informed. Recall apps can help you track food safety alerts.
Usually it's produce or it's things that are not cooked. So soft cheeses, fresh fruit, raw vegetables, or in the case of like the lunch meat, deli meat and deli salads, those kinds of things.
And back to McDonald's, the company says its other beef products, including its cheeseburger and Big Mac, are not affected. Lionel Moyes, ABC News, New York.
The former CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch has been arrested on sex trafficking and interstate prostitution charges. Mike Jeffries and 2 of his associates, Matthew Smith and James Jacobson, each face a single count of sex trafficking as well as 15 counts of interstate prostitution tied to 15 alleged victims. The organized sex events where victims who attended were led to believe that it could lead to modeling opportunities or help with their careers. Remember, follow us on our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. The time is now 6:39 on our Wednesday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. We hear from a Victoria man who went to Florida to provide disaster relief.
I'm ABC's Perry Russom in Washington. More than 19 million Americans already casting their ballot as both campaigns pick up the political rhetoric. That story coming up.
And also coming up next after the break in the full forecast, it's going to be another warm summer-like day all across our beautiful state here in the middle of October. I'll tell you how warm I think it's going to be here in the Crossroads. Well, coming up later on Sunrise, we're going to continue looking at what's trying to cook up there, out there in the tropics.
Hi, I'm Detective Kelly Gibbs with the Victoria Police Department. Victoria Crime Stoppers is seeking information concerning a murder. On October 19, 2024, Victoria County Sheriff's deputies responded to the 9800 block of Lower Mission Valley Road concerning a shooting. Upon arrival, deputies observed numerous vehicles leaving the location. The investigation revealed that a 20-year-old male victim was taken to a local hospital in a private vehicle. The male victim did not survive. If you have any information about this murder, please call Victoria Crime Stoppers at 361-572-4200. You can also submit a tip by using the P3 Tip app on your Android or Apple device, or by visiting our website at www.crimestoppersvictoria.com. All tips are anonymous, and if you give information that leads to an arrest or charges being filed, you could earn a cash reward. With Victoria Crime Stoppers, I'm Detective Kelly Gibbs.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. You're looking live and well. I promise you're looking in Aquara right now. You can actually see the water tower that is just about 400 feet away from the camera right now. So this is definitely letting y'all know it's definitely foggy out there this morning. So please be careful if you're driving on the roads. But it's 68 degrees in Cuero. It's pretty warm actually for fog out there. Humidity is at 99%. That's pretty much guaranteeing your fog, and you're seeing it right there. But I guarantee you, I promise that fog will be clearing somewhere between 8 to 9 a.m. as the sun starts coming up in the sky, and that starts drying up our dew points. But the sun's not exactly going to come right up in the sky today because it's going to be mostly cloudy in the morning time. In fact, here's 9 a.m. right now. Here, 9 a.m. later this morning, you're going to see mostly cloudy out there. But the cloud cover should start gradually decreasing all the way into the afternoon, all the way down to mostly sunny skies. You just saw partly cloudy at noontime. But in the afternoon, I think it is going to be mostly sunny, bringing us another warm day today here in the middle to late October. In fact, look at your highs today. At around noontime, it's going to be in the mid 80s. That's already pretty warm. But in the afternoon, I'm thinking a high of about 89 here in Victoria. Everybody else is going to see the same thing in the upper 80s or low 90s at around 90. Unless you're along the midi coast, you're going to see highs in the mid 80s. I got a high forecasted at 86 today in Port Lavaca. But in the background, we do still have pollen out there, believe it or not. We're talking about moderate grass, tree, and ragweed today. The humid index is going to be high. I know you're probably irritated. We've been talking about this for the last 3 weeks now. Get out of here, pollen. I don't want that anymore. But if y'all go to the beach today, it's not too bad of a day. Pretty cloudy, like I said. Waves are pretty smooth, 1 foot or less. Your water's still pretty warm, the upper 70s and low 80s. But we got lots more upper 80s air temperatures, low 90s to come. And coming up next, we're going to look at what's going on in the tropics.
With Election Day less than 2 weeks away, the political rhetoric on both sides is heating up as we close in on Election Day.
Vice President Kamala Harris says it's possible former President Trump tries to declare victory before all the votes are counted. Harris on NBC News.
This is a person, Donald Trump, who tried to undo a free and fair election, who still denies the will of the people, who incited a violent mob to attack the United States Capitol.
In an interview with the New York Times, Trump's White House Chief of Staff John Kelly says Trump meets the definition of a fascist and claims Trump was complimentary of Hitler.
He commented more than once that, that Hitler did some good things too.
The Trump campaign responding, saying Kelly's stories are debunked and fabricated.
President Barack Obama.
At a Harris rally in Detroit, Michigan, former President Obama questioning Trump's mental sharpness after Trump called January 6th a day of love.
We do not need to see what an older, loonier Donald Trump looks like with no guardrails. America's ready to turn the page.
Trump criticizing Harris for taking a day off the campaign trail using a racist stereotype.
You know why? She's lazy as hell, and she's got that reputation.
And later questioning her mental state.
Does she drink? Is she on drugs? I don't know. I have no idea.
The FBI says Russia and other adversarial nations are spreading misinformation about the election and are using artificial intelligence to confuse voters. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Captain Kenny Jones of the Salvation Army is winding down as he comes off of helping people in Florida after Hurricane Milton. Jones served as a liaison as he gathered information about the current conditions of people in Florida. He served Sarasota County, Manatee County, and northern Charlotte counties. As of Monday, he says there were about 49,000 meals being served throughout those counties.
I certainly believe that that's one of the highest callings for a Salvation Army officer, is our disaster response. What it means is that's why I'm called. It's as simple as that. This is what we do. We don't question it. We don't say, oh, you know, I don't want to go. That's not part of it. It's what we're called to do, and it's what we do.
He says that today is the last day the Salvation Army will be providing services in Florida. Jones also says that although he was sent on assignment, he is on disaster relief every day. The time is now 6:47 on our Wednesday morning. Still to come, there are some changes you may need to know about ahead of tax season.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. We do still have one active tropical system out there right now. It's in the Pacific, so we don't really have to worry about that. We'll still take a look at that here in just a second. But now we officially have a little yellow shaded area where we're watching for the next tropical development as we go into the first week of November. We're going to look at that here, starting out with that here in just a second. But I'm going to turn everything off. You can see we got Christy all the way out there in the Pacific. Got the remnants of Oscar, which is no longer a system anymore. And we still got this little yellow area that we're watching for the first week of November. So here's what's going on out there. We're still looking at this tropical wave. You can see lots of convection around that tropical wave out there this morning. This wave just came off the western coast of Africa about 4 or 5 days ago is when it came off the coast. And computers are still suggesting that over time, that big old dome of high pressure that brought us the cold front about a week or so ago, it's actually going to move. It's going to shift itself off of the eastern coast and to the deep Atlantic. Actually, to move itself, it's going to park itself right about here, northeastern of the Bahamas. And over time, what that does is with clockwise spinning winds around high pressure above, that's going to encourage anything that does move this way or form over here. It's going to encourage it to slingshot westward into that area. And what computers are suggesting is that somewhere in this area on the first week of November, that tropical wave will form into some system. But of course, we're going to have much more details and accurate details as you get a little bit closer to that. Still about a couple weeks away, but still looking at Hurricane Christy. That's expected to become a Category 4 hurricane now as we go into this weekend. Obviously, that's going to go out in the middle of the Pacific. Actually, I don't think that's going to go towards Hawaii, so we don't even have to worry. We can actually just watch that. But we are still watching that area in the Caribbean because Climate Prediction Center has upped their chances up to 40 to 60%. We're going to have more details on that next week and more coming up later on Sunrise.
The Internal Revenue Service has announced some notable changes for tax year 2025. For single tax filers or those married but filing separately, the standard deduction will increase $400 from 2024 to $15,000. For married couples filing jointly, the standard deduction will increase to $30,000, a jump of $800 from 2024. As for heads of households, the standard deduction will be $22,500, which is an increase of $600 from 2024. And that leads us to your viewer poll. Do you think the new tax adjustments are enough to reflect inflation? Okay, let's take a look. 22% of you say yes, and 78% of you say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. Boeing union members vote on a new contract today that could end their strike. The walkout involves about 33,000 workers and has lasted more than a month. Some employees seem on board with the new deal, while others sound unimpressed. It involves a 35% wage increase over 4 years, the reinstatement of an incentive program, a ratification bonus, and a one-time 401k boost. 401k boost. The strike's costing Boeing an estimated $1 billion a month, and it's affecting the U.S. economy. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. Air raid sirens were heard in central and northern Israel. Breaking this morning, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin says North Korea has deployed troops to Russia. He is the first senior U.S. official to confirm the development on the record, as North Korea and Russia have forged increasingly friendly ties since Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Austin says the U.S. is still trying to determine what role the North Koreans will play in the conflict and whether they intend to travel to Ukraine. A South Korea's National Intelligence Service says North Korea has shipped 1,500 soldiers, including Special Forces fighters, to Russia for training. Air raid sirens were heard in central and northern Israel today. The Israeli military says delaying the departure of U.S. Secretary of State U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken as Hezbollah claimed it targeted a military base north of Tel Aviv. Hezbollah says it fired rockets at a military base which houses an Israeli military intelligence unit. The rocket fire was intercepted by Israel, and there is no indication there was any harm to Blinken, who has since gone on to Saudi Arabia. With less than 2 weeks away until Election Day, many Americans have already decided who they want for president. Early voting is underway and more than 20 million ballots have already been cast. Data from 47 states and the District of Columbia shows. Meanwhile, the presidential candidates are still working to appeal any undecided voters they're trying to appeal to any undecided voters across 7 battleground states. Polls continue to show there is no clear leader in the race for the White House. Port Lavaca police say foul play is not involved in the death of a man over the weekend. Police say 54-year-old Alva Butch Stringham was found on the ground, unresponsive Sunday morning in the 300 block of North Commerce Street. Stringham was taken to the hospital where he later passed away from his injuries. First responders found a white Ford truck in a grassy area near where Stringham was found. Police are investigating and believe Stringham was hit by his own vehicle after it was left in gear. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton sued the Biden administration, claiming it has not assisted Texas in verifying the citizenship of some registered voters, despite acknowledging that non-citizen voting is illegal and very rare. Read this story by the Texas Tribune on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And we want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And now let's get a look at our forecast with First Warn Storm Team meteorologist Parker Cox. Parker, that
sunrise, that sunrise, it is looking a little spooky out there. Okay, Carolina's saying it's not looking super foggy down there on the coast, but I promise you there is a little bit down there on the coast this morning. It's not super thick like everyone in the inland counties are saying, so please be careful. We are dealing with a little bit of dense fog out there this morning, especially around Victoria, Cuero, all around the crossroads in the inland counties this morning. So be careful driving on the roads. That fog should be clearing between 8 and 9 in the next couple hours. But look at your temperatures at 68 degrees in Port Lavaca. Dew point matching that temperature, bringing humidity to 98%. That's guaranteeing we're seeing a little bit of fog out there. Computer just said 4-mile visibility down there, but looking at your satellite, you can see all the there's no clouds over there. There are a couple clouds you just saw there on the camera, partly cloudy skies, but all the clouds that are down here in southern and deep south Texas are going to be heading our way into the later morning and then be gradually decreasing as we go in the afternoon today. But look at this, we've still got lots. This looks like summertime. This looks like mid-September if you're asking me, but no, folks, we are in the mid to late October. And in fact, we're on like a 31-day dry streak of no rain, so we definitely want some rain soon. But 86 degrees, I'm thinking of Port Lavaca today, clouds all day long on the decrease. 89 degrees in Victoria today, and a little bit warmer in Cuero. You can see very foggy in Cuero right now. 90 degrees, I'm expecting the high today, but we've got lots more warm summer-like weather all the way into next week before maybe, just maybe, we might see our next fall cold front late next week.
All right, well, thank you, Parker. And don't forget about the political forum that's happening this evening at UHV. And if you're not into politics, we have a Halloween costume contest that you can definitely enter. The deadline is Friday.
Yeah, you can find out more on crossroadstoday.com about that.
And be sure to join Shauna, Dawn, Mac, and Max tonight for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10.